Hello, today is Saturday and it is the 18th of August 2012. There will be no charts within this video, but some information. And let's start off within some 1900 prices, or those prices from 112 years ago. In 1900, the Dow Jones started the year at $48.41 per share. Gold was $20.68, and silver was almost 65 cents per ounce. You can multiply that 100 to get the 100-ounce price. Therefore, in the last 112 years, the Dow has went up on an average increase of about 5.13% per year, where gold is a little under 4 and silver under 3.5%. In 2000, which would have been from 1900 to 2000, the Dow Jones gained 5.53% per year over 100 years, and gold 2.52, silver under 2. And that's a large leap in only 12 years to go from a 100-year average to a 112-year average, to increase from 1.85% up to 3.42. But again, these prices have been suppressed for quite some time. In 1975, or a 75-year run, we've seen the Dow go up about 4%, gold up 2 3/4, and silver up about 2 3/5. And in the 50 years, or the first 50 years of the 20th century, the Dow was gaining about 3%, and gold about 1%, silver under 0.5% per year. Now, you can look a lot into this, but what you'll find out, at least with gold, is this happened over one day. Back in 1933, as they decided to make gold illegal, and what this ended up encountering was them fixing gold at $35 per ounce. So as a one-time adjustment. Moving forward, if gold had gained 5.13%, which is the gain that the Dow had from 1900, it would be priced at 5,600, and silver with the same rate would be priced at 175. If the Dow Jones rose the same rate of silver from 1900, the Dow today would be priced at 2100. M2, which is one of the money supply figures in 1913, which is when the Federal Reserve started its cartel, it was 16 billion, and today it's over 10 trillion, for an average rate of increase of 6 2/3%. Now, if gold rose 6 2/3% per year in this time, it would be 13,150, and silver would be $372 per ounce. But not much is rising the same price as the true money supply inflation. There's going to be a lot of different topics within this. So now let's talk about the Crash JP Morgan Buy Silver campaign, which really begun in the later part of 2010. In fact, when you do the search, the first four results, November 29th, 2010, November 24th, November 12th, and December the 2nd, all within the same time frame. And I keep hearing the same thing over and over and over again, and that's just stupid to think that buying an ounce of silver would crash JP Morgan. And quite frankly, if everybody, and I don't mean everybody as in 100% of the people, but if everybody as in a high percentage, 30, 40, 50, I don't know what that percentage is, was to buy 1 ounce of silver, it sure as heck would have, or still can, crash JP Morgan. Why? Well, the reason is through awareness. If there's enough people whom are aware within the situation, then the eventual collapse of these banking cartels would be inevitable. Moving on. Let's look through some definitions. First, legal tender. And these definitions come from investorwords.com. Legal tender is defined as a country's currency that must be accepted as payment for a debt. Keyword must. Must. Now that means I've seen stores in Canada. I think the same might be true in the United States or many other regions in the world, where here you often see signs on convenience store windows or at nighttime that $100 bills are not accepted at this location. I guess there must be special rules for such. And I think that if we live in a non-slavery society, then, well, you could decide, I don't want to accept legal tender as payment, and therefore all my prices will be in accordance with gold and silver. So therefore, when you look at one of my products at my outlet, you're going to see how much it costs in gold and how much it costs in silver. You may pay with whichever of the two tenders of gold and or silver that you choose. Instead, we have to use fiat money. Again, from investorwords.com, and the definition states money which has no intrinsic value and cannot be redeemed for specie or any commodity, but is made legal tender through government decree. All modern paper currencies are fiat money, as are most modern coins. The value of fiat money depends on the strength of the issuing country's economy. Inflation results when a government issues too much fiat money. Well, as I stated on the outset of this video, the M2 money supply has been going up by 6 2/3% compounded every single year, which is an enormous percentage. And I guess if that's the case, then inflation has been resulted into play, but we can see the prices that's already there. The definition of slave from Oxford Dictionary. Noun, especially in the past. And I really need to talk about that because it seems that through this last so many years and decades that people have been convinced that slavery is very much a thing of the past, where I do not see it as such. I see the evolutionary changes have had different variants within slavery, but it's still in play. And it's defined as a person who is the legal property of another and is forced to obey them. The example they have is he killed the natives or turned them into slaves. And I would use an example regarding the fiat money, where you see right on the dollar bills, this note is legal tender. Therefore, you as a merchant are forced to accept trade in your country's legal tender, and you as a consumer are forced to trade in your legal tenders for the product or service you require. If you choose to own gold or silver, and you want to make a transaction within such, you really need to have a middleman in today's day and age of society. And I can state middleman as, and say you plan on buying product A or service A, and it's going to cost $1,000, and you want to buy it in silver or gold. Well, you have to sell your silver and gold to somebody who will give you the fiat debt notes or paper rectangles, and then you take those paper rectangles and turn them to your merchant. But you cannot take the gold or take the silver to your Walmart or to your Value Mart and get your products you desire. Moving further within these definitions, there's 3 dots in here. We'll go over each one. A person who works very hard without proper remuneration or appreciation. By the time I was 10, I had become her slave, doing all the homework again. I would probably use a different example for that of not getting the proper appreciation, as the value of the currency has lost 99, 98 times its value, depending on when you are referring from and what items you are referring towards. But then the stagflation of how products go up, and then your payroll doesn't go higher, or at least nowhere near the same rate. That might be part of the first definition. The second one, a person who is excessively dependent upon or controlled by something. Now, excessively is a word that states that it's on a major scale. So the question would be, as far as legal tenders, are humans all over the world, in every country on planet Earth, excessively dependent upon and controlled by fiat currency? And the answer is most certainly yes. And then a device or part of one directly controlled by another, the another would be that of the central banks. And you can do a Google search for when did slavery end? And what's interesting, I did click on this part here. There are some that state it has not ended. So that is good to see. But we have been told that slavery has come to an end. And even though it is so obvious to be in existence, well then, it's there. Now finally, going back to the Occupy Wall Street, and I just thought about this now, so I have no image for this on the screen, but that was a perfect opportunity for people to go to their congressmen, go to their central banks, go to any of their local mayors or politicians or anybody of that nature. And if enough in mass were to do this in state, and this is one example, I decided to do my homework. I wrote one page full of pros of a fiat currency guaranteed to cause debt and suffering, and the cons for the same thing. And after spending hours and hours of research, well, I just doodled on the pros, and well, I needed 10 pages for the cons. I don't see many pros in this system, so I don't like it. Now, if enough people were to do that, then, well, they would be forced to do the changes. It would have they'd have no choice within the powers of the numbers game. But the powers of the number game is in play, and that is the extreme vast majority not really understanding what's going on